So let's take a look at our first of two examples of how to diagram a participle or a participial phrase so we can understand exactly what it's doing in the sentence and how it relates to everything else in the sentence. And it'll also help us understand when we have an error. So take the example sentence which says, the angry squealing pig attacked the school children like a scene from an antiquated Hitchcock film. So it's a very famous film called The Birds. And I just remember this because a couple of days ago we were talking about the cartoon Arthur in fourth period, and they made an episode about the squirrels on this cartoon called Arthur, and they're making fun of the birds. Anyway, you don't care about any of that. You may not even care about this, but let's take a look at it anyway. So first thing I have here is I have a number of things which look confusing because when we're dealing with participles, they look like regular verbs. So you see this verb squealing, you're like, is that the main verb? And here's this word attacked, and then a little later, here's antiquated, which you may not have realized is that's actually a verb, but you can antiquate, which means to make something old. So the first thing we have to do is kind of figure out where's the main sentence. Like there's so much going on here. Where's the main verb? Well, if I made squealing my main verb, that means that the or angry would have to be the subject. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Plus, an ing has to have a helper. I have to say like is squealing or was squealing. And so that's not my main verb. Same thing here. If I use antiquated, like what was my subject? What, like blank antiquated, like what was the subject? And so it makes sense that attacked is probably my main verb. And so I'm going to choose attacked as my main verb and think about it logically. Attacked is my verb, so my subject's in front of it, which is probably the pig. And then so the pig attacked, and it might have a direct object, and it does, children. So let's start there. It's kind of a very aggressive sentence if I start thinking about it. So the pig, I'm going to give myself a little bit of space here because I know I'm going to have some extra words that I just want to give myself some room. Here's attacked. And my direct object, I'm trying to keep them as straight as possible. They seem to have like a little slant today. And then here's children. Oh, I wrote children. Why not? They're children. There we go. And then I'm going to add in the children and school children. So I'm already here. So let's just add those guys in here. Here's the. And then, hey, don't forget, we're going to take that word school and flatten it. I know it always gets you because you forget about nouns serving as adjectives. So the children, school children. And then I have the angry squealing pig. Well, prior to this, I'm just going to extend my line. We would just simply have these little adjectives and determiners. We'd say the right here. Nothing wrong with that. Here's angry. And then we would do the word squealing, except squealing is no longer an adjective. It's a participle because at the heart of it is the verb to squeal. So a participle, when we diagram a participle, think about it. It's part adjective, which is slanted, but it's also part verb. It's both of those. And that's how we have to draw it. We have to draw it like coming down and then over. And then the word has to, just like a gerund, remember how a gerund had to touch both lines? The participle is the same way. He's got to touch both parts. He's got to touch the adjective side. So he's got to come down. And then he just kind of curves to the line and he continues on. He's got to be part adjective on this side. He's got to be part verb on this side. Okay, so he's a squealing pig. All right, that's pretty easy. And then a little later, I have this prep phrase which says, we attack the school children like a scene from an antiquated Hitchcock film. So it's not children like a scene. I know that like a scene is a prep phrase. It's next to the word children, but they're not children like a scene. I think we're attacking like a scene. So I'm going to come off of, back to my regular black. I'm going to come off of attacked. I'm going to come down and say like. Here's my preposition like. My noun is going to be scene. It's a scene. And then here's another prep phrase from an antiquated Hitchcock film. So it's a scene from a film. And I'd say it's a film. I'm going to skip it's an film, Jeffrey. I'm going to skip antiquated. I'm going to do Hitchcock first. Hitchcock's the guy's last name, Alfred Hitchcock. Antiquated is like saying old-fashioned. It's made, it's kind of grainy and old and so forth. And so here's our participle all over again because it comes from the verb to antiquate. What we're looking for is words that ends in ing. It's a sign that I'm dealing with a participle. And it also could be sort of the en or the ed form of a verb. So in this case, it's antiquated. So the reason this is not a gerund is because this is an adjective. It's describing the pig. It's not a noun. It's an adjective describing the pig. This is an adjective, antiquated, describing the noun film. It's not a noun modifying a noun. It's an adjective modifying a noun. So I'm going to make antiquated look like an adjective, but I'm also going to make them look like a verb. So he gets to bend. So here's antiquated, like that. So what we've shown here is this is a participle, and this is a participle. And most participles come in front of the noun. So we'd say squealing is describing the noun pig, or antiquated is describing the word film. We're going to find in the next example a participial phrase and how we would diagram that. Okay, so pause our video, go on to the next one. Let's try the second example.